What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Hope you're doing well. Tuesdays are our days, and I'm here live from the Americando in all of its millions of dollars and splendor. I hope that everybody's having a great day. Today, we've got an incredible person and songwriter we're going to be talking to, Mr. Jonathan Payton. We're going to bring him on, and maybe even Chuck Diesel's going to pop in live from some mall in the middle of nowhere. But before we get into that, I want to let y'all know a couple of ground rules. One, all of the money that gets donated tonight will be put towards supporting Jonathan and his music. So if you're on YouTube, if you'll see my pinned comment, there's a link that you can click on. All the money will go to Jonathan. If you're on Twitch, if you'll click on the About section, uh, you can donate. And one thing that we love to try to do here is to support and celebrate songwriters. And it seems like Mr. Payton and his wife, Abigail, are just great people. If you're new here, here we make and celebrate Americana music. So sometimes I make a little music. Sometimes we celebrate a lot of music. Most of the time, we celebrate a lot of music. But we started doing interviews on the channel. So let me know in the comments, who would you like me to interview next? I got some ideas that I'm working on. But the best way to support the channel and what we're trying to do here is to join our monthly membership, which you can do at burtbyler.com/join. I think, yeah, burtbyler.com/join. You can join for $5 or $15 a month, and you can really support what we got going on here. So I think that's all of my spiel. Everybody give a massive round of applause, a big Americana Addicts welcome to my man, Mr. Jonathan Payton. How you doing, Jonathan? Oh, and Chuck's here too. Oh, wait, where's Jonathan? He ain't here. Where'd he go? I can hear you. Let me hold on. Let me get this new thing. You had to get the headphones back in. There we go.
Oh,
What's up, baby?
you see me?
Gotcha.
Good to see you guys. How's it going?
Well, Chuck, are you going to get us copyright claimed in the middle of a mall? And why are you in the middle of a mall?
Can you hear it right now?
That's what my students think that they sound like when they talk through a mask.
I'll take my mask off. See if you guys can hear me better.
That stash. Look at that stash.
Watch out, Sad Dan. Watch out, Sad Dan. Got some competition, boy.
Everybody, please, in the comments, who does Chuck Diesel look like? He thinks he looks like Sturgill Simpson's crazy brother Ronnie.
Ronnie.
I
definitely
don't know.
Look like Ronnie.
I don't know if he's made it to that level yet.
I'm trying for Coach Lasso. That's all I want. All I want is Big
like
Ted. I just want to be like Ted.
Well, tonight is about you, Jonathan. Man, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. I know that you're a busy man with all of them children running around. Thank you so much, dude, and we're so pumped to have you here, man.
Man, it's incredible to be here. I appreciate it.
Well, so you just came off the road a couple set of weekend dates. How is it playing shows with all of this craziness going on? The virus is going wild. Everybody that I know has the virus. I had the virus. It took me 11 days before I stopped feeling terrible. But how are the shows going? I know you and Drayton played this past weekend.
Man, they went incredible. Fortunately, we were both healthy, and I don't know. People came out to the shows. We played in Charlotte, and we also played just north of Atlanta in Duluth, and people came out and supported, and it's worked out. Like, I was sitting there hoping. I was like, man, don't get sick. Obviously, can't control it, but we lucked out, and and we
And
had
you
to
had to fight the weather too, right?
well,
It snowed like crazy.
no, it kind of got blown out of proportion. So it came after our shows. It's like it was people. North Carolina got the weather after, and same with Georgia. So we had people contacting like, is the Georgia show canceled? We're like, no, it's not snowing until the next day. So it got cold, but we didn't get any snow the night of our show, and it didn't seem like it kept anybody away.
That's crazy because normally in the South, if it even like snows for 30 minutes, people are like,
Freak
shut
out.
it all down.
Yeah, we had that snow apocalypse, is what they call it, in Atlanta a few years
Mhm.
back, and
I was there for that.
yeah,
That was
I had
crazy.
friends that were. My dad, I think, was at his car for like, I don't know, half a day, trying to get home.
I was stuck at a hotel. You couldn't get food delivered. I would have drowned myself if the pool wasn't frozen.
Yeah, that's crazy. So if they're like it's supposed to flurry potentially Friday, grocery stores will be cleared again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right on, man. Well, so for the people that have no idea who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got into music? Give us the bio version.
Well, awesome, cool. Well, Jonathan Payton. I am tuning in from Woodstock, Georgia, where I live, just north of Atlanta. Maybe like
Very
25
close to a church that I used to work at.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow, we need to talk.
We don't, but yeah.
Yeah. So I live in Woodstock, Georgia, with my wife Abigail and our 3 kids. Yeah, I have 3 kids. Most people think I'm like 22. I'll be 34 next week.
Come on.
Yeah. So
You're
we've
not as
been-
old as Chuck, but you're up there.
I was there once.
You were there once. Maybe when I get your age, I'll have a full mustache.
Man, there you go. Dreams, right?
Oh, that's a dream. You got a dream going on right there, man. So
Chuck
no,
D's is a walking dream.
we've been married 8 years, and we had kids right out the gate. We've got a 7, 6, and 4-year-old, boy, girl, boy, and we also have a little dog. So it's crazy times. A lot happened, a lot of transition, but. So yeah, like I said, I'm about to be 34. I got into music as a teenager. I think I borrowed someone's Epiphone Les Paul and tried to learn Stairway to Heaven at like 16, and then at that time in my life, I started going to church and started playing like in the worship band and stuff like that. Did that for a little while, and then I started working at this coffee shop when I was like 18, and I wrote like my first song and I sang at the open mic. And so I think I did my first real show and I was probably around 20 years old. And, I kind of took to music kind of when I could have taken other things to deal with what was going on in life. So I felt like music was kind of, it saved me from a lot of things, and I feel like it still does.
Yeah, I got a lot of qualms with church that we could talk about at some other time. But one thing that church does really well is it gives young musicians a place to work some stuff out. And it's weird because like in every other musical sense, you have to like work from the ground up, build up a following and all that kind of stuff. No, not in church. If you can sing a little bit, you
Or
can make
not.
that church. If you can make that offering plate get full when it comes around, boy, they will throw you up in front of thousands of people. And you go from like learning how to play a guitar to like light show and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But
Hey guys,
all right.
I'm gonna have to bounce right quick. I'm gonna be up in the chats. Y'all hit me up in the chats. I'm gonna be on Twitch. Shout out to all the OGs. Love you guys. Jay Payton, love having you here, man. Look forward to hearing the
Thanks,
rest of your
man.
interview.
It's been great talking with you.
All right, Bert.
I already muted him. Thank you so much for following D-Saw. Okay, so you played your first show when you were 20. Now, was it like a cover show? What kind of show was it? Was it one of your own shows?
No, one of my own shows. I used to do a little bit of covers. That's something that I've never really got too much into. So everything that I do now is all original. Back then, I had to do some covers because I didn't have a ton of originals, but it really, I mean, I worked at some of these cafes when I was younger, and I would just tell them that I was playing a show, you know, nothing paid. I just did a show and would bum some equipment so I could get my own, and basically one of those like used to basically pay to go and play music. That's how it ended up.
It's more like trying to not lose as much money as possible. Just how little you can lose is always the goal.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did a little church, then you started doing music. Kind of, have you always done this style of music? Have you tried out anything else, or is this something that's always kind of been a part of who you are?
It's I've gone through a ton of phases, a ton of weird phases, like weird. But I would say later high school, early high school, I went through like a big punk rock skater phase where you listen to, like 80s and 90s punk rock. And that was a cool thing to do. And classic rock, which I still like a lot of classic rock, some of the punk rock stuff. But I started hearing some different things that I like, just songs that mattered, that I felt like meant something, that kind of made me feel things. And then I just started writing, and like I said, I played in churches, things like that, but I didn't really want to write a lot of music like that. So
dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I did that off and on for a while. I even traveled like full time on the road throughout like the U.S. and Canada doing that, but got kind of broke away from that kind of stuff and just kept writing. Listened to a lot of different music. There's some people that I still listen to that I feel like influenced me back then a lot.
Right on. I mean, do you mind if I ask what made you walk away from that life? Because I don't know if your experience was anything like mine, but it's walking away from money. It's walking away from stability. Like, I'm not saying playing that kind of music is an easy ride by any stretch of the imagination, because it's still hard. But for me, it was a big thing to turn away like stability and money to like try something else.
Well,
what was it for you?
Before I could ever achieve stability or money, I was around. I mean, you said you worked in this area. You know that this is like the motherland of church music, Atlanta, and I was around a
Jess
lot of that
Smith
culture.
just donated $20. Thank you, Jess.
Thank
Appreciate
you so much.
it.
That's incredible.
By the way, anybody that would like, you can hit the little link in the YouTube chat that I've got pinned, or you can hit the About section in Twitch. All the money's going to Jonathan and his family tonight, so y'all love on him a little bit. I will also be adding to the pot by the end of the night. But sorry, what were you talking about?
That's super kind of you. Just saying, like, this is like the land of opportunity when it comes to stuff like that, and I was around a lot of it. And before I ever let myself get to anything, like I never did it as a job. It was more, I was at places that you just volunteered at, but I don't regret it, because it was a great outlet at the time when I was trying to figure things out in life. Like, I didn't grow up in those things. Like, I started doing things like that when I was 16 years old. And so it created some safer environments for me from what I was in. So I look back and I'm very grateful, but I just needed to step away, man. I got really burnt out. But I also got to meet a lot of amazing people and do a lot of amazing things. I think I just wrestle with a lot and trying to figure a lot of things out. And I just decided that I was going to be done playing that kind of music. And quite frankly, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it.
No, I hear you there. So how does a man go from playing coffee shops to recording with Sadler Baited?
Well,
what do you know somebody that knows somebody? I mean, how did this happen? Because I guess my big question is, did you self-produce most of your music before this last couple of songs you've done?
No, I suck at that kind of stuff. I'm learning, so I've had a friend do it, or like did a Kickstarter back in the day, and had a local guy around here do some work. Um, but I've always like self-released everything and learned that I've got to self-promote, which I don't. I do all the time, but I don't like it.
We
I
got to
just
be salesmen on here,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
We are
So
forced to be snake salesmen.
um, but the Sadler thing, I mean, I've been playing for a long time. I work full time, so music is not, my main source of income. And I just got to this point where I almost walked away from it. So I was like, what is the point of this? I'm a waste of time. I've got a, things that need my attention. Why am I gonna do this? Is it just an outlet? And I thought maybe I'll just do it every once in a while. And then we just had some really encouraging things and people and responses. I was like, no, there's purpose to this. There's a reason. It's life-giving for me, and the fact that like it might be for someone else. Just encouraging me to keep going. So I reached this point where I was like, screw it. I'm gonna ask to open up for this person, at a stadium. I know they're gonna say no, but I could at least say that I asked. So usually you don't, I've messaged so many people, and people that like musicians that made their songs meant something to me. I wasn't just like, hey, let me come open for you, or listen to my song. I reach out to them with a sincere message. And I've discovered Isbell years ago, and the 400 unit became my favorite band. Jason, one of my favorite writers, and I just sent Sadler stuff for close to 2 years. And one day he just happened to open up a message. Like, we had never talked. He had no idea who I was. He opened up a message and was like, hey, I like this song. We should talk. And next thing you know, it worked out. We're going to Nashville.
That's wild,
Like,
man.
so it took almost 2 years of just reaching out to him, not being annoying, but just reaching out, be like, hey man, check this out.
That's so cool. By the way, shout out to Bruzy. Thank you for tipping $5, buddy. I appreciate it.
You.
I forgot to read Jess's message that he said earlier. He said, good luck in your future endeavors. Hope for the best on the road and in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like musicians are the worst at cold emails. Like, it blows my mind how we as musicians just don't even try a little bit. Like, don't even put forth the smallest amount of effort to say anything kind to the person that you're writing. Like, I have a Spotify playlist that's like a collaborative playlist that anybody can go and add music. And every single day I have to go and remove like 30 songs from people, just because like people that have music that has nothing to do with the playlist, or people will email me wanting me to interview them or whatever, and they won't say anything like that they have any idea what I'm doing, or like it's just, hey, I want to be on the show, like put me on the show, or hey, I want you to react to this song, like react to my music. And I just think we're so dadgum lazy. Like, I don't think it takes a whole lot.
Well, I think being intentional, but also persistent.
Yeah.
Like I said, with Sadler, it wasn't one message. It was a lot. And then.
How many messages are we talking?
I don't know. It's got to be at least 8. If I had to guess, around there. But over the course of almost 2 years. And I just go out with no expectation. And if you ask for something and someone says no, like, okay, well, nothing changed. I just keep going and go. And
so what made you choose him? Because I know he's produced Morgan Wade's new record.
Well, this started before I didn't even know he was producing music. I was just a fan. Like, I had no idea that he was doing that. So that's what's pretty cool about it. It turned into that.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just a lot of people out there I respect, and I'll reach out to them and let them know.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, the songs are fantastic. If anybody hasn't done it yet, please go check out his new songs. Indifference, Those Days Were Hell, and is there another one too?
Yeah, Now or Never.
Now or never.
Those are all ones that Sadler did, and man, that was a pinch me moment going and
Man,
doing that. That was
they
incredible.
they all sound fantastic. What was your? Could you? I mean, they sound unbelievable. Could you tell a noticeable difference in working with him compared to stuff that you've done in the past? Or was there anything that
Oh,
was different?
100%. I think, I won't say where, but there's somewhere online that I have a hidden EP because the website won't let me take it down. But I have some old music that that's not online anymore. That, it's like, I don't know if you have ever had something you're like, here's my music. This is like, hey, check this out. Like, feel good about it. And then when he broke out the slide guitar, I was like, okay,
It's about to get real.
Yeah. So check this out.
Cyber Cowboy just donated $20. He says, thanks for stopping by, Jonathan.
Wow, thank you so much.
Cyber. Appreciate it, man. So I guess it's kind of like playing in the big leagues. Like and so many musicians ask the question of, should I spend the money and get a real producer? Not a real, because I don't want to make it sound like certain producers are not as
I get what
good.
you're saying. Yeah.
But with somebody like Sadler, he's playing in the big leagues. What do you think it was worth it for you? Was it worth the money? And also, what were some things that you noticed that were different, maybe than other stuff you've done?
I mean, just his work as a producer. Like, he's not just a talented musician. As a producer, that guy is mind blowing. His ability to control a room, and to direct people. I mean, he's like, hey, don't let me listen to anything with your band. I want to hear full acoustic. And the band that he had Derry from the 400 unit do all the keys, and some other friends of his come and do the drums and bass, Ted Pecchio and John Rafford. And they're incredible, but they didn't hear the songs until we got to the studio and I played in the control room. And then he's like, all right, you do this, this, and this, and this. And it was just like watching him work. I was like, man, this is insane. And then, we cut up and laugh, and it's like, well, we also on the timeline. So he knew how to kind of reel it back in a nice, friendly way and just be like, all right, like, we're working too. Let's have fun, but like, let's get this done. And he's just incredible. He had a few ideas for some of the songs, like changing just a few chords that completely changed a song for the better. And you're just like, man, he put a lot of thought into this, but he knows how to do it quick. And I got nothing but respect for that guy. I think it was well worth it. We were very fortunate to be able to do it. I'd be happy if that's the only producer I ever worked with again, to be honest with you. And the team that he put together, just they're awesome. I'm not like this well-seasoned studio musician. I've been playing a long time, but I'm not a crazy musician, and it's intimidating going in there playing with these guys that are seemingly like perfect at what they do. But in no way did I feel that way around them, and that was really cool because I was able to relax and kind of get the job done because they created just a cool environment that was supportive, and I didn't feel less than because these guys are much greater musicians than me.
That's cool, man. Well, they sound fantastic, and I remember the first song. I think the first one you sent to me was "Those Days Were Hell," and I like after 5 seconds of listening to it, I was like, "This is serious business." Like, I had no idea.
That's my favorite one out of 3. It's mine.
Yeah, it sounds so good. It's massive, but it's not like so studio polished, and
Yeah.
like you hear so many like commercial country songs, and it has like this sheen over the top of it, like icing, that I can't stand. But like it was just so good to hear like a big rocking band song, because so many songs that we listen to are like acoustic songs.
They would Derry de Borja, and when they got out the organ, I just like,
Ah.
I got chills. I was like, man, is this? I was looking around. I had so many moments. Me and my wife would just look at each other like, "Did you see that? Like, what are we doing? Where are we at right now? Like, this is insane."
Yeah.
And then you hear that organ, and your heart just melts, and you're like, "Man, this is for me. Like, this is my song. Like,
Well, I guess
what are we even doing?"
that moment did that moment answer your question of why am I doing this anymore? Like, I feel like to me,
Yeah, because
I have
it.
to like write down moments because we forget good moments all the time. We remember bad
Yeah,
moments. We remember the empty room. We remember the song that we wrote that we were excited about that nobody listened to. Like so many things that stick with us. But I feel like I mean, I don't know if you feel this way. Like I forget the good moments so quickly.
yeah. No, that was a good moment. Um, because it wasn't just transactional. It wasn't like, oh, here's money. Okay, well, he wasn't just reaching for anyone that has $1.
Right.
So
He don't need no
that,
money.
no, that's what was cool about it. So he really believed in it and still does. Like we still talk, and he's still encouraging and helping us with things that like, well, you already did the producing. Like you don't owe me anything yet. You're still doing these things for me because you care. Like wow, like you care about these songs like that. You didn't just do it for a paycheck. Like that's really cool. That means a lot. And we've had a few other things like that in the past year or so that have just been like, okay, like keep going. So
Well, obviously you got to keep going, man. What are you talking about? Uh so let's before we get you to sing a song, let's talk about your main influences. I hear a lot of I can never say his last name. LaMontagne,
Lamontagne.
LaMontagne, however you want to say it. LaMontagne. Are you a big Ray fan?
I am a Ray fan, and I get that a lot. I think because I
Your
get
voice
I get
sounds so
breathy.
much like
So
yeah.
I love Ray LaMontagne. He's not like top five or anything, but
Yeah.
I no I love some of his music. He's incredible.
That album, God Willing and the Creek Don't Rise, is like one of my favorites of all time. By the way, shout out to Brent Bolin for tipping $20. Brent, thank
Wow,
you.
thank you. That's
All the way
incredible.
from Denver. Thank
Wow.
you, Brent. Well, so who are some of your major influences? I know you mentioned Jason
Well, it's funny
Isbell.
how so I actually played a show years ago, and afterwards someone was like, "You must be a big Isbell fan," and I was like, "Who's that?"
Oh,
That's how I discovered him.
wow.
Like, and so I was like, "Well, I gotta." Apparently, I said someone thinks that I remind him of this dude, Jason Isbell. So I went and looked him up, and the rest is history with that. But man,
What was the first Isbell song you heard or the first record?
Southeastern,
Come on now. Preach.
yeah, that, yeah, everyone knows that's just such a good album. Um, so yeah, it was the first one. I can't remember which song, but I listened to the whole thing once I started listening to it.
All
But
right on, man.
um, it's really cool. Years ago, got to have like a kind of a quick talk with um, Wesley Schultz from the Lumineers, and he
I love the
I
Lumineers. I
don't
don't
think I
know
don't think
why.
he would even remember, but we have a mutual friend, and he had to like giving me some advice. The fact that we would even um, could have a conversation was really cool. And when me and my wife were dating and engaged, like we wore through their first record, and there's something like my love for his music has never gone away, and so he's been one for a long time. Um, and as I started getting more in like the Americana stuff after Jason Isbell, like of course, like a lot of the people that you hear about, like Tyler Childers and Sturgill, like I'm a huge fan of all those guys. Also, like I love some old classic rock. I love the Rolling Stones and CCR and people like that. I've been really listening to a lot of um, just trying to get into more like I don't know. I love listening to Drayton Farley.
Come on
you
now.
know, I love that. And like he turned me on to Cole Chaney and like listening to that kind of stuff. Arlo McKinley. I could listen to it all day long.
I think you and Drayton both have top-notch voices, and I think they're very different. But I think both of y'all's voices are fantastic. Man. I'm a big singer guy. I love a killer voice. That's like my favorite thing to listen to.
Yeah.
Um,
You ever listen to Lone Bellow?
absolutely.
So Zach Williams is from here. He's got a big following here, this town,
Okay.
and he has done some like acoustic shows here. And seeing him is one of the most inspiring live shows that I've ever seen. And I'm a huge fan of their albums, but seeing him live, you just walk away like, I'm gonna go lock myself in a room, and I'm gonna play music and not come out for 3 days. Like that just kind of like, I mean, I want to get after it because I don't know, seeing that guy live is unreal. Also, first I saw Josh Ritter live years ago. It was just him solo with his bass player in Atlanta. I've never seen someone so happy to play for a crowd, and it was just like there was something special about that night. Like Josh Ritter put on a hell of a show.
That's cool, man. Why don't you play us one, buddy?
Okay, cool. So this one, while I was waiting for our songs to get mixed and mastered, the songs to do with Sadler, I had got my wife bought me a microphone as a gift, and I was like, oh, let me plug it in. I sat on my couch and recorded this song and like just loaded it to Spotify that night. Didn't even like plan a release, and just dropped an acoustic version of it. It's called You Can't Drink Your Demons Away. You hear that all right?
Oh yeah.
Wait, let me get one more sip of water. I'm gonna take these out for a second. You walked in about 3 a.m. to a cold and empty house. You were looking for those ones you loved, but her notes were all you found. Get your things together, I'm gonna see my mother, and the boys will be just fine. When they ask me where you been, well, I ain't telling them no lies. You can drink your demons away, but you can try. You might feel good for a moment, maybe a night, but those nights turn to days, and the days turn to years, and you don't recognize the man in the mirror. You sobered up, straightened up your stuff, just to show them that you care. You apologize with sincerity in your eyes. Hell, you even cut your hair. But one night, you heard a knocking on your door. Was it just in your head? A sharp-dressed man, he was standing there. You reached out and took his hand. You can drink your demons away, but you could try. You might feel good for a moment, or maybe a night. But those nights turn to days, and the days turn to years, and you don't recognize the man in the mirror. can drink your demons away, but you could try. You might feel good for a moment, maybe a night, but those nights turn to days, and days turn to years, and you don't recognize the man in the mirror. No, you don't recognize the man in the mirror. No, you don't recognize the man in the mirror.
Come on now.
Thanks,
John,
man.
dude, your voice is unbelievable. Like, makes me dadgum sick every time I hear folks like you sing. You're a great musician. Your songs are fantastic, man.
Man,
How are you such a nice guy and a great musician?
Because I met a lot of assholes, man. I don't want
Why
to
are
be
the
like that.
asshole musicians always the best?
You know, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I know some of the good guys too, and they outweigh the others. Like we were talking about Sadler earlier. Nothing but love and good things to say about that guy.
Man, we got a $20 donation from Anonymous. Says great song. I'm assuming that's El Capo, Benjamin, but he's a
Wow.
boomer and he doesn't know how to type his name in.
Thank you so much.
And then a $25 tip from Lepage. Tyler Lepage says beautiful
guys are
song,
crazy.
man. Thanks for the show.
You guys are crazy.
If you want to donate and support this beautiful mustache man, hit the little button in the link on YouTube or on Twitch. Hit the about button and let's love on this man because he's got 3 children and a wife, and that's just a lot of mouths to feed. So let's get into one thing that I wanted to ask you. Talking about writing songs. Is there a topic or a theme that you've always wanted to write a song about that you're afraid to write a song about?
I'm starting to I feel like I've had a line with some things, especially coming from the church music. I'm starting to kind of wipe that line away and realize that I can write about whatever I want. But
Come on now.
And you could pick up on it some of my songs, but I'm not always very direct, or maybe I put it in a way that's not fully understood about just kind of questions and where I'm at, and not holding to, I guess, faith in the way that I used to. And so when you're surrounded by that, and you take a step back and you go, wait a minute, what about this? What about that? Some people don't know how to handle it, and I don't know if it's like an insecurity thing or if it's more of a I just don't know, and maybe I'm figuring it out, and I'm learning to be more and more upfront on it. So a lot of the songs that I've written lately are going in that direction, but for a while there I was hesitant because I was just in this phase of like I just don't know about things anymore, and maybe I should just leave it alone until I figure it out, and that was the wrong thing to do. So I think I don't mind talking about it, but singing and putting these songs out there, some of them is helping me step into that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize, especially growing up in the South, how questioning faith is not only not accepted, it is highly frowned upon. And like for me, so I just uploaded a song that I'm working on, and I wrote a verse about telling my dad that I'm not going to praise his God anymore. And I don't think people get how all encompassing of an issue that is. It's not just like, hey, dad, I don't want to play baseball anymore. Or hey, dad, I don't want to watch football games with you anymore. It entails like so much. So what are the things that most scares you about that, or about writing songs about that?
I don't. I'm not sure. Um, I don't. Maybe it is insecurity. I know when it comes to like the topic that you were just talking about, like with your family, like a lot of my songs are about um, family issues or things that I grew up in, and sometimes it's hard for me to write them because I know that some of the songs, like who they're about, those people are going to be at the show, and I don't know if that maybe I'm getting off topic there, but like
No, absolutely. I
yeah,
think that people do not talk about family a lot in songs,
well it's
and
a
I
hard
even
one. Like I
sorry
played
to
a new song about I played a new song at a show with Drayton on Saturday, and it's not a bad song, but if it's not explained, you might someone's probably going to be offended by the song, and it's and I just accepted that, and I used to shy away from it. And it's like if they want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. Um, but I used to really shy away, and I just got to the point where it's like, oh, if I want to work through some things, I got to confront them. And the one of the
yeah,
ways I confront is a lot of times just writing a song about it.
yeah. One thing that I've loved about your music is I feel like um it comes from a family man's perspective, and I hope that doesn't offend you at all. But I find so many songwriters that write from the perspective of being a road warrior, being like a party musician, or the down and out character. And like, to me, to hear songs from a dad's perspective or a husband's perspective or a family perspective was so refreshing to me. And I definitely got that vibe big time when I heard Count of the Stars.
I mean, no, I appreciate that. And that song, I could write a book on what that song's about.
I was gonna ask you, so you that's the song that you asked me to do a reaction video. Well, I asked you what song you wanted me to react to, and you mentioned that
Yeah.
song, and I was really curious as to why
Well,
that
so
song.
we write a lot of, honestly, I write a lot of sad music about some heavy things. And then when it's over, you're just left with this sometimes negative or just not even negative, but just heavy. And so that song is about really heavy things, but in 2016 was one of the worst years of my life. And at the end of the year, I felt like imagine you have a lot on your plate and then another thing gets piled on and the plate topples over and shatters and you're trying to pick up the pieces. That's how me and my wife and our family felt at the end of 2016. And I had to stop and take a hard look and say, like, things suck right now. There's a lot of grief. We've dealt with a lot of loss. We've there's just like I don't even know how to think straight. It's so insane. And more keeps getting piled on. So I was like, hey, on one hand, things are insane and chaotic and we're hurting and grieving and there's a lot of sorrow. But on the other hand, like there's so much to be grateful for. And so I wrote that song really as a challenge to myself to like, hey, I don't know why these things are going on. I don't have the answer to this or that. But what I do know is that there's a lot to be grateful for. Like I might wake up, one of those days where I was just feeling really down, but I could look over and like I woke up to my family and like that alone is something to be grateful for. I mean, the biggest thing to me in my life is my family. So there are times where like I'm having a hard day and I look at my kids and I just laugh and I'm like, man, maybe those little trivial things or even big things,
Yeah.
um, they outweigh. And sometimes like, and that's not to negate or diminish like what you're going through, but it helps when I could shift my perspective towards gratitude in the midst of just chaos. And so that song was
Woo!
just dealing with
There's so
a
many
lot
people.
of pain, a lot of loss, and a lot of just frustration and anger. I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, I don't mind sharing. Like it was a crazy year, and my wife was pregnant with our third kid, our youngest son, and my sister was coming to keep the other kid so we can go on a baby moon to Asheville, North Carolina. And on the way out, we have a doctor's appointment, and they tell us, "Hey, your son." Literally, like, we're on our way to North Carolina, but we got to stop at the hospital for an appointment. And like, "Hey, your son has an issue with his lung, and they're gonna have to take part of it out when he's a baby."
Mm.
And they're like, "Okay, well, let's go on vacation now that we have that news." Like, and it was after that. That was like one out of like 45 things.
Yeah.
And I remember just feeling just down, just confused, angry, like, wait, what? You got to cut my son open and remove part of his lung? Like, and that's when that song came, not long after that. And cool thing is, like, my son Shepard, our youngest, he's 4 and he's completely fine. He's fully recovered, and they did take out part of his lung, and he's the loudest kid we have. It's funny. So he's completely great now, but there was a lot of anxiety surrounding that. So,
man, I think that thank you so much for sharing that, man. I know how hard that can be to even talk about. I can't imagine how I would feel if any doctor told me anything was wrong with my son. Even if he had like a little bruise on his arm, I'd be
yeah.
freaking out. So not many, I feel like in the country and Americana genre, there's just not many songs from that perspective. I feel like it's either talking about your small town where you're from, or it's talking about like typical country things. And I feel like the world, there's just so many dads out there. There's so many people like us out there that the world needs to hear those kind of songs. Do you feel a pressure to write songs about addiction, or to write songs about what typical country and Americana music is about?
I don't feel a pressure, but I can relate. I grew up in a crazy house, riddled with all those things. And, I'm grateful that, it didn't stay that way, but it was like that for a long time. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that happened when I was younger, and things that I was around as a kid that just, I don't know. I can't know anything about it. And so, except for, don't do that myself, but it's given me a lot to write about, because,
Yeah.
my parents are both recovering addicts, and I'm really grateful for their sobriety. But being a kid in that makes it interesting as an adult being a musician. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's one of the, we've talked about it a lot. It's one of the hardest places to be, when so much stuff is regularly thrown at you. Free alcohol, people trying to give you drugs. Like, it is, it is one of the hardest places to be, to try to stay sober.
Yeah. So no, really, I'm very grateful that my family chose sobriety, but there's a time where they didn't. And yeah, so I write a lot about that, not as a pressure, but as a way, like, of just, it's what I'm feeling, or it's maybe I need to
Yeah.
process through something that I never really dealt with.
Yeah.
And I have a great relationship with my family now, and so I could look back and say, hey, I'm really grateful you guys chose to change.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear about their sobriety, man. You want to lay down another for us real quick?
Yeah. Can I tell a story about it?
Of course.
So this is what I'm hoping to record this year. Talk about some of the church stuff. So
Oh, come on now. Sing
Oh, yeah.
straight to my soul. Let's go.
So this one is kind of funny. So when I was like 19, I think I mentioned earlier, I traveled full time doing music, and quite frankly, I was in a cult. I don't know how else to say it. And so fast forward to like half a year ago, maybe less, I was watching Ancient Aliens on Netflix. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Absolutely.
The dude with the hair.
Yes.
He's like, oh, we don't know how to explain this, therefore aliens did this. So that's what he does. So he was talking about how all these big cult leaders from the 60s and 70s and 80s, they think that they were, influenced by aliens. And so like middle of the night, I'm by myself watching Ancient Aliens at like midnight. So that's what I landed on after scrolling through Netflix. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. At first I just laughed because it made me just start thinking about my days as a missionary and a music minister, or whatever you want to call it, when I was traveling. And I don't think I worked for aliens, but they were different kind of people. And something's called No Amazing Grace.
Come on now.
I hope you like it. I'm gonna take these headphones off. Sorry, these are choking me. Put them around my neck.
That's all right, man. You take
I'm
your
gonna put them
time.
right here on top of the head. Fierce desire, razor blades, cut them down when they're in your way. Singing choirs, lights on your face, sweet hymnals fill the place. Speaker of truth, come close to me. Let me touch your hand. Would you set me free? If I had $1, if I had the faith, would you heal these bones? What's the price I'll pay? Well, I don't think it's supposed to be this way. What's a boy to do and he knows no way? No amazing grace, no sweet sound. You once were lost till you were found in a drunken rage. Blood on the ground, no amazing grace, no sweet sound. Broken backs, codeine pills. He stumbled in a valley, stood upon a hill. Broken glass, broken home, righteous family, these lands we roam. Well, I don't think it's supposed to be this way. What's a boy to do when he knows no way? No amazing grace, no sweet sound. You once were lost till you were found in a drunken rage. Blood on the ground, no amazing grace, no sweet sound. I read a book on that one too. We should, man. Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
So, by the way, I've been muted for the past like 30 seconds to a minute. Only you heard what I said. I was talking a lot of trash to him, everybody. I was telling him it sucked.
I'm done.
Sorry, guys. What I was trying to say is songs like that, like, hit me right in the heart. And one of my favorite things about your songs is how massive the choruses are. Like, do you feel that church had to do with writing anthems? Because church songs are very like massive choruses, like sing along kind of stuff. Do you feel like that part of your journey has played into writing these huge choruses?
Maybe. I'll be honest with you. I think when I originally started, it wasn't intentional, but I listened to a lot of Mumford and Sons,
Okay.
and he does that. I noticed Marcus Mumford does that a good bit.
Lumineers do that a lot too.
Yeah, and so I don't. It wasn't intentional, but I realized I could hit some higher notes and for me, like I feel, I've always liked that, the kind of up and down of songs, like feeling, especially like stripped down, you can make it big by going up, vocally, and then also like I wish my wife were here. Dang, she's
bad.
She's
She
bad,
bad
dude. You should. I mean, you should hear her sing like lead too. Oh my goodness! Like she comes from an extremely musical family. She's one of 11 kids, and like 9 of them are like perfect pitch. It's insane.
Well, you do like this. I feel like it's a 1-2 punch, and you could put this in your Twitter bio. But I feel like when you have such a breathy voice on the verses, like it immediately captivates people, and then when you hit them with the powerful stuff in the chorus, especially when your wife is singing with you, it's a massive 1-2 punch, and I think it's great, man. I'm a big fan, and you start singing songs about church and people being in a cult, like I will buy all of the T-shirts, all the records.
Oh man.
We off of this interview, off of public space, we could have some conversations.
Yeah, I would love to, man.
About stuff. Have you seen The Righteous Gemstones on HBO?
No, I don't have HBO.
You know who Danny McBride is?
Yeah.
So John Goodman is like the head pastor of a big, massive church, and Danny McBride is his son.
Okay.
And it is absolutely fantastic. Like, it is worth you getting HBO for like
That's
a month.
awesome.
It's so good. One question I wanted to ask you before we go, and it's one that I think you can take in a lot of ways, but what question did you wish that I would have asked you tonight? Is there any topic or anything that you would just love to talk about that I didn't bring up?
I think we covered some, but like directly, like I think what I want people to know or talk about is just kind of why do I do this? Because I've asked myself that a lot, and we've had a lot of things that have happened that have kind of confirmed why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm writing the music, why I'm putting any kind of time, effort, or money into any of this. And so that would be the question, of why do you do this? And the answer to that, honestly, is, like I said, I used to almost apologize for writing like sad music or heavy songs, because I go do a set and feel like I had to play something upbeat and happy that people could dance to. And we have some of those songs, but I stopped apologizing and started being more honest with myself. And the more that we share songs and people reach out, we end our shows with that song "Count of the Stars," and the stories that people come up to us afterwards and say, "Hey, this is what I'm going through right now." And we had, I won't go into detail, but we had something like that happen this weekend. We're like, I broke into tears after our show because someone shared like, "Hey, this is what that song meant to me, and it's helping me get through this." Like, that's one of the most humbling things. Like, and I think for me, music was a safe place for me to realize that that I could turn to it and that I wasn't alone. And so my biggest hope and my big why is like, I want people, especially in this day and age, like there's so much stress and depression and anxiety, and we isolate and feel alone in that and think that no one else knows what we're going through. But chances are someone very close to you does know. And so my hope is that people would feel less alone when they hear some of these songs, if that makes sense. I've been thinking a lot about why.
Whoo! You want people to feel less alone with your songs, and I think that is maybe as profound as it gets, or maybe as good as it gets. I think that you mentioned the other day that we were talking, you've been evaluating your goals with music, and I think we have so many songwriters and musicians in our audience that need to hear that your goals should be things like that. Because you can't control what your songs do to people. You can't control how many people listen to it. So what are some of the goals that you've been reflecting on? Like, what is an ideal music life for you?
Well, it's kind of changed. This past year, a lot more people. I mean, the following that we have, over half that's from this past year, from getting connected with Zach Bryan, and then also and doing shows with him. We got to do a number of shows with him, and then also getting connected with Sadler. So more people are hearing our music, and hopefully more people are feeling less alone when they hear. And so there's been this just demand that has never been there. And so it's caused me to reflect. I'm like, okay, like I'm working full time. I have a family. All my energy can't go into music. If I'm going to put energy into this, what is this going to look like?
Yeah.
And that life for me is not out on, I'm not about to book 150 shows. I'm not going to go.
Preach. Can we just get an amen there? I'm not trying to play 200 shows this year.
So I want to, these
which
shows,
my demand and your demand are two very different things.
I don't have demand. But if I want to feed my family, I would have off of music and shows. That's what I would have to do.
Well, I make that comment not as like people are just asking me to play shows. Ain't nobody asking me to play shows.
So, but I'm saying if I wanted to just like, I don't plan on this, but like if I quit my job today and wanted to make it music, I better hit the road and book and hustle for as much money and merch that I can. And I know people that do that are killing it, and I have so much respect for them. But I'm definitely a family man and a homebody, and I, became more selective with the shows I was doing. Like I don't do background music over televisions. I've done that before. Where you're at a venue where they're paying you, but no one's listening.
Yeah.
And I don't knock the people that are doing that, but I just have certain goals where it's like, okay, I would love to be able to, for music, to provide for my family. I'd love to have, I don't want to hit the road and struggle and not see my kids.
Yeah, I
And
think that we don't talk about this a lot. Like, so many people sell it as you either like the purist, or like you only do music because you love it and you hit the road and you sleep on the floor, period. But then
I respect the hell
that's
out of that. I do.
that's
I just
great. But I personally don't want that for my life, the same as you. And I think there's another path, which is work a job like I'm a teacher, and then I get to still make music. It's different. It's not like if I was doing it all the time. That would be awesome.
yeah.
But I think there's the road of doing it part time to hopefully maybe building it up to being full time one day. And I just
And
don't
that
think
would
many people are
be
talking about that.
yeah, that would be incredible. And I think at this phase of life, like, a year and a half ago, I I don't make a ton off of music, but like I made way less a year and a half ago. So like I never thought like some of the shows we got to do this year and recording, and like I would have never thought in 2020 that any of that would happen. Or 2021. What, I'm getting my years mixed up. Yeah, something like that.
Nobody knows the
But
year.
but
Nobody knows what year it
but
is.
you know what I mean? It wasn't like I wouldn't. I don't know. So we played these shows this past weekend with Drayton, and like that's exactly like those kind of things. Like those were some of the best quality shows. And like if I'm gonna put my time and effort and sacrifice time with my family to go do that, I want it to be quality shows like that. And so I want to. We're gonna be doing some newer things this year. Like, hopefully be recording some more. We're looking into the whole Patreon thing. Thank you for the encouragement on that.
Well, if there's anything I can do to help with the whole online internet stuff, I nerd out so hard.
Yeah.
My
So
community is probably sick of me talking about it.
I'm learning. I've invested into a little bit of equipment, so like I can put out content without having to throw a ton of money at someone that knows how to do it. So I'm gonna teach myself how to do some things, and I'm not trying to make something happen overnight. So who knows where it'll take me? Who knows if I always have multiple jobs? I don't know. I'm just looking forward to steadily growing. I feel like that's how it's been this whole time. So I'm okay with that. And I want my wife to be a big part of this.
Yeah.
Like there might be shows that I do by myself, but like she's a massive part, and she's very important part of what I'm doing. And we want that to be an us thing. So like this past weekend, it's like, well, we got to take the dog here, take the kids here, and then come rush back to Georgia, get the kids, take them to this babysitter, take the dog here, and then go do this, and then we can head back out to go do the show, then come back, make sure like this is taken care of and that. So like those are all fantastic things. That's not a complaint, but there's a lot that goes into the both of us going and doing a show, especially out of state.
Well, she's definitely not like some slacker you're bringing along.
No, not at all.
She's bad to the bone. By the way, Senor Apocalypsis tipped $20, and he said,
Wow.
"Keep it up, man. I'm one of those people that your sad ass songs have touched." Love it.
Wow. Thank you.
Well, man, again, we are in your corner. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. How can folks that are watching best support you? What is the best way that people can love on you and your
Man,
music?
I think just helping share our songs. I with the goal of or the hope of just people feeling less alone. The more people that hear it, the more people that we can affect. And it's not about a Spotify number. It's not about a YouTube stream number, but it's just about I want to have an impact. I want to have a lasting impact on people. So if something means something to you, share it with someone.
Well, you heard it, everybody. Everybody, all right, all of my troops, line up. Everybody get to work. Get your little phones out, your trashy little phones. I've seen some of y'all's photos that y'all be uploading. Start sharing, start doing what the man says. And we only hope the best for you, man. This is a place where you are more than welcome. Everybody's talking in the comments about how humble you are and how legit you are. And so it's just so encouraging to find people making such quality music and at the same time being such quality folks. And so
I
just
appreciate that. That
thank
means
you
a
for
lot.
being humble. Thank you for coming and hanging out with little old us. And I'm just very appreciative that you would come hang out with us, and we love you, man.
Hey, I'm honored to be here. It's fantastic. I love what you're doing. I love the community you're creating. I see something like that and it's attractive, and I want to be a part of it. And you asked me to come do an interview. I'm like, yeah, that's hell yeah, I'll come and do that. Like any
Well,
day.
I'm
I love it.
I'm still learning how to interview people because every time people come on here, I'm just like trying not to fanboy and trying not to be like that nerdy guy who gets way too intense. But man, we love your music. I'm going to for the YouTube video, I'm going to put a link in the description for Jonathan's music. Everybody go follow him on all the places. You got anything you'd like to say before we adjourn, my man?
No, just I'm really grateful for anyone that tuned in. You guys could have been doing a million other things, but
They ain't got nothing to do. They all got COVID. Everybody's got
they
COVID. Like they just laying in the bed.
could have been over on TikTok though, and they're here with us. So that's
They could be.
I don't know. When someone gives me their time and they listen to me talk or sing, like time's valuable. Thank you. Really, I genuinely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart that anyone would care about anything that I have to say.
Well, you keep writing them songs, man, and people will care.
Will do,
People
man.
totally care. All right, everybody, we're going to sign off. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. Go check out Jonathan Payton, P-E-Y. I misspelled his last name in the YouTube video I did. Sorry about that. Love y'all. Hope y'all have a great night. If you're in our Discord community, we're going to do a post-porch funk. So come hang out with me. You got any special goodbye that you say to people after a show or something, Jonathan?
Y'all be good now, you hear?
Love it. See y'all.
That's all I got.
All right, man. Wait, time out. Have you just been hanging out?
It says on air. Are we still on?